All right, you all, it's 8:30, so we're going to go ahead and get started. You are in the Inside Peek at 2 Kentucky Farmer Sales Funnels talk, in case you don't know that. And we have a very good session for you all this morning. We have a 2-farmer panel, and then Corinna Bench is going to be moderating it. And for those of you that do not know Corinna, she is the founder of the My Digital Farmer podcast and website. She's also the co-owner of Shared Legacy Farms. And then the 2 farmers that we're going to have on the panel this morning are Melissa Ballard, who lives in Shelby County and operates Bluegrass beef with her husband. She is a first-generation farmer. And then we also have Ray Strobel, who is the co-owner of Barr Farms in Rodelia. And they have a 400-member CSA. And Ray does most of the marketing and communications. And I will let them take it over from here. One note, I'm going to pass out these cards. Please fill them out and either give them back to me or leave them on the desk at the end of the session. Thank you.
Well, good morning. So glad you're here, ready to talk about marketing at 8:30 a.m. I'm impressed. Before we dive into the panel, I thought it would be helpful for me to do a probably like 10-minute overview of the framework, the sales funnel framework that they're going to talk about. So you're going to see some, who in here was in the pre-conference workshop? Just a few of you, okay. So you're going to see some similar slides from then. I just want to start out with a story because there's a couple of metaphors that I think really help before we get started with our panel. And the first one is I went on a road trip to Seattle, Washington. I was driving across country from Connecticut in 2001 after I graduated from college to my first job. And that's a long drive. If you've ever done a road trip like that, my brother offered to go with me, thank God. And as we planned our trip, we made a map of our destinations. We had a list. Where do we want to go? What do we want to see? To break it up, right? We knew we needed to do like 8-hour days, but we wanted to try and find things to see along the way. And so we came up with a list of milestones. We wanted to go to the Yellowstone National Park. We wanted to see the Black Hills. We wanted to see Wall Drug. That wasn't initially on the list, but if you've ever done that northern route, you know you get suckered into that. And we watched a geyser erupt. We did some horseback riding. So we had these milestones that helped break up the trip and get us to our promised land of Seattle. And so today, what you're going to discover is that your customer is on a journey with you too. And your customer has to pass through milestones in your brand when you're selling to them. So I really want you to think about this concept of a journey because it's really helpful. One of the things you're doing as a business owner, as a farmer, is you're trying to come up with, when you're selling, is what are the milestones that my client needs to pass through from the point of not knowing who I am to the point that they become a super fan. How do I get them to Seattle? How do I get them to my promised land? And we're going to have some awesome examples of our 2 farmers over here who have some great milestones in place. You can see what does that look like in practice. So we're trying to move that relationship. We're trying to build a relationship with our clients and get them from point A to point B. This is what sales is all about, building a relationship. So the question is, are your customers getting lost in that journey as you're trying to get them to superfan status? Here are some symptoms that might be happening. You can't find any new customers, or you don't have a good way of doing that. People don't even know what you sell. You can't get customers to buy more stuff. Maybe they just buy one thing and disappear. Your customers don't know what to do next, or they don't even know how to buy from you because it's not clear. There's no buzz about your product yet, especially if you're brand new. Your retention rate is blah. Or you worry about being salesy, so you never pitch any offers. Well, you're not going to make money if you never pitch offers. So you are the guide in your customer's journey. And the big question that I like to ask farmers is, do you know the way to Seattle? Do you know how to guide your customer through the sales process? Because if you don't, they don't either. And that is what today is going to be all about. We're going to be looking at this bad boy framework. If I can go back to it. Is it going to go back? It's not going to go back. Hang on. Oh, because I'm pushing the wrong one. We're going to talk through that at length today. These are all the different steps. I'm not going to teach them right now. We'll teach them as our panel talks. But those are the different things that happen. Your customer starts out in the bottom left, completely unaware you exist, and they move following the arrows until they become a promoter of your brand. So the second metaphor that I wanted to share with you, I'm skipping through here. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. I'm sorry. Hang on. Jeez. Is that of relationships. This was really eye-opening to me when I learned this, and I think this is going to help connect some dots for you. In sales, when you're building a sales funnel for your farm, you're building a relationship. And I want you to just imagine, like, you go into way back when you're like in your 20s and you're hunting around and you're like in the dating scene, okay? We're just gonna go there for a minute. And what is that like? Do you remember? So we're walking into a bar or wherever you go do that, and you spot this person across the room, and you're like, whoa, I kind of want to meet that person, all right? And you kind of check them out. And maybe they make eye contact with you, right? So that's kind of the next step. And then you get a little closer and you find a way to talk to them, right? And then if that goes well, you ask them, can I buy you a drink? If that goes well, then you say, hey, can I get your number? And they might give you their number. And then you go home, whatever, and you reach out to them or you text them and you set up a time to go out and have coffee. Do you want to grab a drink or have a cup of coffee? And if that goes well and you like each other, then you have a little more commitment and you say, you want to go out for another cup of coffee, or can I take you out to dinner? And then before you know it, they're like, yeah, let's go, let's keep going out. And then all of a sudden you're declaring your love for each other and you're going and visiting the parents and the friends and the kids, if it's if a split up marriage or whatever, and you're like meeting all the family. And then one day they pop the question if it's the right person, okay? And if in a relationship, if you were to like skip a step, and go from like, hey, can I have your number? And 2 days later, ask them to marry you, that would feel weird, right? That would be like creepy. So this is what a lot of businesses are doing with their sales funnels. And I just want to ask you, are you? You meet someone, a customer, client, potential client for the first time, and 2 days later, you ask them to buy your $600 CSA package. It just feels a little off, a little creepy, right? So in sales, we have to learn the sequence for how we build relationships and commerce in business, and we have to honor how that works, right? We have to honor that process. So today, I want to invite my guests up here now to come up here, and we're going to talk through what does that look like to build a sales process that honors all the steps? So we're going to go back to that slide. Let me find it. Of the steps. This is called the customer value journey. And we're going to start the process now of kind of sharing your story, and we'll talk through that. So you have your mics. Awesome. So let's first have we're going to start actually with Melissa. Why don't you tell our audience a little bit about your farm business? Just give us a brief overview.
Good morning. My name is Melissa Ballard. My husband, Josh, who isn't here, and I own and operate Bluegrass Beef. We are a 100% grass-fed, grass-finished beef cattle operation. We're cow-calf to finish. We are in Shelby County, so Shelbyville, Kentucky. Josh is also a mixed practice veterinarian, which just comes into play with our lifestyle. It affects all facets of our life, actually. We have just over 100 head of mama cows, mostly commercial cattle, a few registered red Angus, and we finish around 50 steers a year. We market to our customers in the form of farmers markets. We also do on-farm pickups, and then we sell by the cut and also with the steer share model. So they can buy everything from a pound of ground beef to a whole steer from us. And we're working towards adding a delivery piece to our farm.
Awesome. Good. All right, Ray, tell us about your gig.
Hi, I'm Ray. I'm with Barr Farms. So we have, I feel like I'm echoing. We have a CSA is our main thing, an organic vegetable CSA, and then we also do beef and chicken, and then we work with a neighbor to raise pork. So we have a meat CSA and a vegetable CSA, we have like 16 or more, so a while. So we've grown from, I think we started with like maybe 15 members up to, we deliver about 300 boxes a week at this point, but that's ends up being like 450 or more people because we offer 3 different sizes, small, regular, and large, and then we offer either every week or every other week for our CSA shares. So we also do monthly meat deliveries, like pre-orders and deliveries in the winter, but the CSA is really the vegetable CSA is the main part of our farm.
Okay, so I thought it would be fun if we start, we're going to kind of audit your sales funnels one by one. So we have 2 very different kinds of products. And we're going to start with Melissa. What is the product that the sales funnel we are auditing today?
Yeah, so we'll just kind of stick with our standard customer that is going to be buying by the cut from us. And they may graduate into something larger, but just kind of our regular farmer's market or farm pickup customer.
Okay, so we're going to walk through, I'm going to kind of coach her through this conversation, like how do we funnel a person who doesn't know we exist down into our funnel and they eventually purchase our product and become a super fan. Okay, so tell me a little bit what you know about your customer. Like who's your ideal client for this?
Sure. So our ideal customer would be someone that is just concerned about how their meat is being raised. So from a animal welfare perspective, from a nutritional perspective, somebody that's just kind of concerned about, or very concerned about, the type of meat that they're putting into their body and that they're feeding their family. So, and then what that may look like a younger person or an older person, like that piece isn't super important in terms of but probably someone that's maybe shopping at a farmer's market already, shopping at a Whole Foods, or a place where they can source meat that they feel comfortable with eating.
Yeah, so the ethical piece, the story behind the food really matters to them. That's why they're choosing you over someone else.
Yep.
Okay, so let's start at the very top. How does a client find out that you even exist? So this is the awareness stage. They're completely unaware, but you probably have a few mechanisms in your business that cause them to become aware you're even around.
Yes. So one would be just stumbling upon us at the farmer's market, finding us at the farmer's market. As much as I don't love going to the farmer's market every Saturday, it has been a very, very useful tool for just kind of getting our face out there in front of new customers. They may Google search terms like grass-fed beef near me, or grass-fed beef Shelbyville, Kentucky, or grass-fed beef Kentucky, and we've worked really hard to get our name kind of up towards the top of that list. They may hear about us from a friend, or stumble upon us on social media, or find us on social media.
What are you putting on social media to attract your perfect client?
Lots of things.
Yeah. To attract her perfect client, okay? So she knows who that person is, so she puts content out there to get them. So what are you talking about?
I am putting content out, and I could talk for an hour
about social media. Just a few things,
right?
Yeah. It's hard with animals too.
It is.
Yeah.
People, I put content out that I feel like does a good job of explaining our farming practices and just how we're raising our animals, what farm life looks like for us. People tend to be attracted to that sort of thing because our lives, everyone in this room just look very different than most of our customers' lives, and it's interesting to people. Yeah. I also kind of lurk in certain rooms and groups where people are asking, like, where can I find local beef? And usually the cool thing is, if I don't get to it first with an answer, one of our customers will answer that question for us, which is really cool.
Good. Anywhere else in the awareness phase that you're?
I think that'll do it.
Okay, so I just want to point out that she put herself in places where she knows her traffic is hanging out. Okay, so that is an intentional, strategic decision as a business owner. You're having to think at this stage, where is my customer hanging out, and I need to go and create stuff there that will attract them. and make them aware I'm there. Now, you're not trying to sell to them yet,
No.
right? Okay.
No.
Now, next stage, in the engage stage, that's where they're starting to talk to you or interact with you in some way.
Yes.
What does that look like for
So
you?
they're going to either visit our website and kind of look around, maybe. That may be a way they could engage. They may start asking me questions at the farmer's market. So they've kind of seen us, but then they come over and they want to have a conversation with me. Sometimes they can be very long conversations. You all know how that is. They may decide to follow us on social media, so they hit that subscribe button or hit that follow button. They may comment on a post or send me a message or send me an email.
Do you offer farm tours? Do they ever come visit the farm or drive by it and be like, where is that place?
Very casually, we have offered farm tours, but we haven't done anything really intentional.
All right, so at this point, you're still not selling to them. You're
Right.
just trying to get them to talk to you. So this is where the glance turns into a stare, and they walk across the bar, and they start talking to you, okay?
Yeah.
All right, the next stage is the subscribe phase. Do you want to explain what that is? What's the point of the subscribe phase?
Yeah, so the subscribe, it feels like this extra level of commitment, and they may not have made a purchase yet, but they may subscribe to our email newsletter, which is a really important piece that we utilize in our marketing. So they may actually give me their email and agree to start getting emails from me, which is a big step for some people. So that'd be really the main thing. Another piece that I think Ray's going to talk about, we are trying to come up with a lead magnet to encourage people to give us their email.
Yeah.
But that's kind of that subscribe phase.
And where are you getting these email addresses? Just at the market?
The farmer's market, or I also have a pop-up on our website, and we actually get quite a few people to subscribe that way. It's not a pop-up, I'm sorry. It's on our website. It should be a pop-up.
It's a form that's like
it's a form,
place where
and they can
enter.
I say something like, do you want to get recipes and newsletter, things, and they will put their email in there.
Right. So
Yeah.
now you have a hot lead. Like you have someone raising their hand to say, yeah, I'm interested in this.
Yes.
And you don't feel as weird reaching out to them. Okay. So that is a step in, marketing companies do this. Like this is a framework they all follow. You have to get the contact information from someone. And it's either an email or it might be a phone number, depending on what you're selling. Okay. So that's the subscribe phase. Now they've committed a little bit further to you. You still haven't bought anything. Now we
But
move to
they're
the
getting ready to.
convert.
That's
Yes, so
right.
convert is where we actually get them to spend money with us the first time, and we issue them an offer. So what does that look like?
So the convert stage, they decide to make a purchase with us, and so they may actually buy something from us at the farmer's market. I offer little bundles. People love a good bundle. So sometimes they'll be walking by and they'll see this deal that they just can't refuse, that's got those couple of steaks that they've been interested in and some ground beef, and like, you know what, that sounds like something I want, and they'll make that purchase. Or they may just purchase, they may have an event going on and they want a couple of steaks to they're cooking out or whatever. So that's kind of what that looks like, and either in person at the farmer's market or they make a purchase on our online store. We have an e-commerce online store. They can pick that up at
Now,
the
how do they
market
find
with
out
us.
about your offers if they're not at the farmer's market? Is there another way that you're letting them know that there's something for sale?
The emails.
The weekly email.
Those emails.
I love it. Okay.
And I will be the first to admit, I'm not great at getting that email out weekly. Sometimes it looks more like monthly, but
Fair enough.
Yes,
Yeah.
I sent an email actually on Friday, and I immediately had orders. And that's how it works.
Yeah.
When you email people good content, they will order from you.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yeah, okay, so, and I just want to point out that at least in the case of this funnel, that is a mechanism that you have put in place in your business. I will write a weekly email in order to make this step happen.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And you've also, the other mechanism you've built is I will create cool offers, right? And so we brainstorm as a business owner, we brainstorm different offers, like is it going to be buy two, I'll have a weekly special every week, or is it buy two, get one free this week, or here, use this coupon code, or what is the mechanism that we're getting to drive them to actually come to the store and check it out?
And just a little pro tip, like, you don't even have to offer that much of a discount. It's
Yeah.
just people, or no discount.
Or no discount.
Sometimes
You just have to tell them there's in there.
you just have to bundle something together, and people are like, I don't have to make a decision, buy. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just, it makes it easy.
Yeah, and you're not leading with a super expensive product either, right?
No.
Yeah.
I try to make that a price point that everybody can afford.
Your gateway, so the question here for you to think about is like, what is my gateway product? Like the very first thing I ask someone to buy in my funnel should not be super, super expensive. And it could be like your best seller. It could be your most popular thing. When you're telling your team at the market stand, like, you lead with this, tell them this. I know this is a winner. I want my first customer purchase to be this because it's so good and that'll make them come back, right? So you want to know what that is, and that should be like, that's part of your strategy. All right, let's move on to the second, the excite phase, which I think most people don't even know that is a phase, but it's a really important phase, and customer retention lives in this phase. So if you don't have good customer retention, it's because you probably don't have any mechanisms in place for this. What does that look like for you?
So this is a stage I'm working on because it is super important. But some of the things that we've done, I include when people pick up from our farm, many times I'm not there and they're picking it up from a cooler. But I try to include a handwritten thank you note with every order, just to express how grateful I am for their business. If they buy something from me online, like a larger ticket item, a steer share, or something like that, they are going to get a handwritten note of thanks. And I go ahead and send them instructions for processing and things, just to get them thinking and excited about the purchase that they made. Some things that we are working toward is including recipes with the order. Sometimes I'll stick something unexpected in. If I have a really great customer that has continued to buy from us and I just got some new hats in, I may give them a hat or another type of swag item that they're not expecting, and that gets them really excited. Or even something little, like we sell beef sticks, that's a part of the thing. If I include an extra beef stick in their order or put one in it, just try this, it gets them really excited.
Yeah, so the excite phase is where you're trying to make sure your customer is successful using the product. So they take it home and they experience a quick win. They experience success. They have momentum now, wind beneath their wings, and they want to keep working with it. Or some sort of surprise and delight moment where they're like, wow, I wasn't expecting this. So the customer onboarding sort of fits here. If you have a complicated product that, like a CSA in my case, that's hard to explain to people, you need to have some instructions for them so that they know, how is this going to work? So sometimes it's just logistics. How does pickup? That's part of this excite phase, but you're also doing what can I teach them so that they're going to actually be successful with this product? So those are some great examples you shared. All right, you want something else?
Well, I was going to say the quick wins is a phase that we're really trying to work on, because recipes, different ways to use the product, that is so important, and we're kind of lacking in that.
Yeah, and you can automate a lot of that too, right? You can send that through email. If they bought the product, they get a automated auto subscriber. You've written those things in emails, and they just happen automatically. Or you stick a little card in with the box if it's an order and it's something you printed and it's just part of this workflow. Okay, so ascend phase. So the ascension phase, it's a ladder. This is also called the profit maximizer phase. And when you're learning about marketing, you learn that this is where you make your money in your business, in the ladder. On the repeat purchases, getting your customer to come back and ascend your ladder of products. You want your super fans to buy as many things as possible from you. You're trying to get them to increase the average order value of what's in their cart, but also the frequency at which they purchase. Come back, buy again and again. So you're making more and more offers, and your super fans want to collect everything you have, everything you buy. Okay, so you have to have mechanisms in your business to make sure you are offering them new offers on a regular basis. And if you do that well, you will make more and more money off of your clients, and they will build trust with you, and you will build trust with them, and you'll build happy people. So what does this look like for you? So after someone's bought that initial meat cut, now what are you doing?
Pounds of ground beef or whatever. We try to put together bundles to encourage people to buy more, and they are going to look different too. We may have a taco night bundle or a slow cooker bundle. And so that will encourage people to keep trying new things and to keep buying more different things. Monthly or weekly specials, again, that is an encouragement. Sometimes I'll do a special if you, especially ground beef customers love this, where you just offer a bulk discount. And it doesn't even have to be that much, but it's a chance for them to stock up and buy more products. And many of our customers will convert into buying a steer share. So that would be a big, more of a big ticket item.
Yeah, but you're not pitching that right away. That's not the first thing.
Well,
it's kind of at the top of the ladder,
right.
Middle of the ladder.
Probably the top of the ladder, but we have some customers that never buy a steer share, and that's okay. They don't have the desire or the space for that.
But maybe they spend as much as that person would.
Exactly,
or more. Yeah.
Or more.
So that's where knowing your data comes into.
Yes, because we make more. We actually make less on those big ones. So that's not always our goal, is to get somebody to buy a whole steer.
Yeah.
It may just be to keep repeating purchases, keep buying from us.
Right. Cool. All right, let's move on to the advocate and the promoter stage. We're going to kind of smush these together. They're very similar. The advocate stage is where you get someone to leave you a testimonial. You turn them into an advocate. This is different than the promoter stage, which is where they become word of mouth, where they're talking you up and they're kind of like your free marketing engine. That's happening kind of in the advocate stage too, but advocate is specifically you want them to type out or write out, I really love your farm, here's why, either in a Google review or in a social media post or in a comment, or maybe they write you a note and send it to you in the mail. The reason this is important is because there's something that happens psychologically in the brain. Yes, they teach you this in marketing school. When you leave a testimonial and say, I really love this product, they become loyal to you. And people, there's a psychological thing, studies have been shown people want to remain consistent to their commitments. And so if you can get them to say something that shows their commitment to you, it's very hard for them later to back off and suddenly say, well, I don't want to do this anymore. This is very evident in the political world, where your candidate may do something that you're not super excited about, but you still remain loyal to them. So we want to be able to give them a moment to coach them to have this step for the sake of what happens in the brain. So tell me, where is that happening in your business?
It's so bad for us. We're not good at this stage.
All right, that's okay, see?
Just so y'all can relate. Yeah, this is a goal for us, I feel like we do have good word of mouth. People will express their love for our product, but it's happening more organically, they'll post about it on their page. So that's one of my goals for this year, is to intentionally start asking people for reviews. And it's probably gonna start by me just directly messaging or emailing a few of our really key customers that are already really loyal. Mm-hmm. And I think I'll have no problem doing that. Just asking for Google reviews in general will probably be a way, maybe in one of my weekly or monthly emails, I'll just say, hey, if you're really liking what we're doing, follow this link. You have to make it really easy for people. Follow this link or this QR code and leave us a review on Google. It really helps our business, things like that. I'm going to start easy.
Even capturing the place on social where they've left a comment that is essentially the testimonial.
Like a screenshot.
You can take a screenshot, post it get their permission, but then post it on your website or
Sure.
So that would still do the trick. But okay, cool. Yeah. Anything in the promoter stage that you wanted to bring up? How are you turning them into? Do you have some kind of a referral system or a word of mouth?
We do not.
Engine? Okay.
And that's another,
Yeah. Well, it sounds like a lot of your clients are finding out about you through word of mouth, so it is sort of happening.
I feel like it's happening.
But you don't necessarily have a system.
Not being very intentional about
that's
it.
Okay. That's all right. I don't feel like you have to systematize everything. It's sort of happening. Awesome. Okay. Let's give Melissa a round of applause. I think that was really good. Okay. We're going to have a chance to ask some questions at the end of them. So Ray, you're next. We're going to do this with a different product. I hope is this helpful for you to kind of see how this can be turned into real life practical. Okay, so let's start at the bottom. Remind us again what your product is.
Sure. So my main one is a vegetable CSA. Even though we also have a meat CSA, I really focus on the veggies because that's the biggest part of our farm.
Awesome.
Can I just say something? But I just want to say, I think that seeing this framework the first time I saw it was a little bit mind-blowing. Like, it was like, oh. But I was doing things in all of these different stages anyway. Like, I was already doing a newsletter. And so, like, for you all, you're already doing some of these things. And I've been, I don't know, listening to Corinna for like 3 years, and I still am like putting the pieces together. So I just wanted to give that sort of like
Thank you. Yeah, because
overview
people in
of,
here are probably like, I'm leaving now. This is overwhelming. Yeah.
Okay. So
Okay, let's
aware
get started. What do you know about this customer? Let's just start there a little bit. A CSA client, what do they want? What are they after? What do they value?
Okay, so there's like 3 sort of types of people that I think about, and I have like actual customers, actual people that I think about in these different categories. So one would be like somebody who really cares about organic specifically and organic vegetables, and maybe they're a mom or a new mom and really wants to feed their kids organic, so that like organic label is really important. Maybe they're good in the kitchen, maybe they want to learn to cook more, so that like learning piece. So then another type of customer would be somebody who loves good fresh food and like is, you know, maybe subscribes to the New York Times cooking and like already like cooks really well, and they're just really looking for the best quality and the like freshest they can get. And then another category of people that I think are people who just really want to support local and support a local farm and have that true connection with a farmer. And really all of those categories also get mushed. Like, I think that all of our customers sort of have an aspect of all of those, but I do think they get teased out in different people and how they look. So those are sort of the 3 kind of types of people that I think about. Also for us, I think we do offer a lot of flexibility. So for a CSA, like they need to have some sort of like, they need to be able to come on a regular basis to get their box. So they need to have a lifestyle that they're not traveling, 3 months out of the summer to be able to subscribe for the season. So we go May through October. We do offer the flexibility where people can like switch, put their share on hold and all of that. But
you use Harvey, right?
We use Harvey as our software platform, to do the
to
CSA.
do that.
And so that makes it easy for us to manage those holds and everything.
Right. So why is it important for you to know, like help them understand, why do you need to know who your target audience is for a specific funnel product when you're building your marketing assets for it?
Because you need to be able to talk to them and understand what their values are and what their needs are, and to build a relationship with them.
Right. Yeah, because I think a common thing that I see, maybe you've heard this, is that a lot of businesses, a lot of farmers, I know we did this at first, we tried to sell our products to everyone, and we would take it personally when some people didn't want it. You should want this. Everyone should want this. I want to turn all of you into this kind of an eater. And the reality is that not everyone out there is like that, and that's okay. And so part of our job, when we know who our ideal client is and who would love our product, like we're just trying to find them. We're trying to talk to them. And so when we're creating this content to attract them here on the bottom part of the funnel strategy, we're just really thinking about them. Like, what do they need to know? What would they like to hear? And the other people that fall away or for whom this would not be the best solution, like, that's great. I want to help them let them go find the best solution for them, and that does not mean that I'm not great, right? So let's start with the awareness phase for a CSA. A CSA is tough because it is a high ticket price, and I think it has a longer sales cycle. I think it takes longer to warm someone up. So what are you doing to just get them to be aware that this is a thing?
Okay, so aware, similarly to Melissa, we're at the farmers market. We're at 2 farmers markets in Louisville. We have, they might search us on Google, and then our website would pop up.
Let me pause right there, because I know Melissa said that earlier. What are you doing as a business owner? Like, what's the action step for a person if they're like, okay, I need to get found on Google? Like, what did you go do to try and make that happen more often?
Well, we were at a point in our business that I realized I needed to hire somebody to help me with my website.
Okay.
And so entering some keywords, being sure there's some keywords of like CSA near me appears like in descriptions on various pages, but also like appears behind the scenes also.
So you invested in an SEO Or someone who was making
it
your
was somebody who
website
helped us.
kind of knew
Yeah.
how to put those words in there. So this is where you would want to go kind of research SEO, search engine optimization, but you want to help Google. Think of like Google as this massive filing cabinet, and it's trying to pull out the right files when a person goes and does a search. It wants to help that person find the best choice, and so it goes and searches stuff. So if you as a business have stacked the deck in your website, and you have the right words that match the searches, then Google will present your offering higher up on the search engine results page. So this is stuff that you can, again, hire someone, or it's actually not super hard. You can at the very least create a Google, you have a Google business
I think so.
page, right? You can just get that set up in like 30 minutes, and that is the action step to make this awareness thing happen. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
interrupted,
And
but
I need to go back to the business page to tweak it. It's been a
yeah,
while,
no,
so,
I mean, I tweak it a couple times a year too, but cool. All right, so you use Google. What are some other ways people are finding out about you? What are some other awareness things?
So word of mouth definitely is one of them, and then we're also part of the Farm Share Coalition, and so they have a workplace voucher program. So and they also Oak hosts the Find a Farm directory, and the Kentucky Proud's the CSA Fair every year. So like those are also places that people might find out about us, which Oak is amazing to do the CSA Fair because that's also just talking about CSA.
Yeah, they educate
in general
what
to
that
like even
is.
know what CSA is. So
Right.
that's sort of part of the aware phase before they might even know about our farm, like learning about what is a CSA and then start looking at farms.
Right. So on social media, are you
I
doing
don't do a
little-
whole lot of social media.
Okay,
I
wow.
post here and there, but it is
right.
not my forte or my love. So
That's encouraging to some of you in this room who are probably like, oh, don't make me have to do that. It is possible to build it that way. You mentioned having some affiliate partnerships too. Like you have people that know of you and are almost like promoting on your behalf, like Oak. So that's another kind of trick if you have some relationships with other businesses. They can talk you up. All right, is there anything else in the awareness phase? You have a kind of a lot there. That's good.
good.
Yeah. All right. Engage. So let's move on to engage. How and when are they starting to talk to you and engage with you? What does that look like?
So
Where is
again,
that happening?
similarly at the farmer's market, they might email us a question about our product. How do you raise this? How do you do that? We do have occasional people who will call us to ask questions, but mainly my main thing is that I'm sending people to my website to explore, to learn all of their questions. And we had a friend do a video of our farm, so like watching the video is a good way to like learn quickly about our farm. I think it's like a 2 or 3 minute video.
It's really good.
Thanks.
Yeah. So the video, if you want to go watch it, is on.
It's on our website,
It's on the
barfarmsky.com.
Yeah, it's the header, right? It's like right
Yeah.
there at the top. So, did somebody produce that for you, or did you make that yourself?
Somebody produced it for us,
Oh, okay.
and so it was my sister-in-law's brother, and so he's a videographer. So that was, we still paid him a little bit, but not what we would normally have to pay.
It's so good because it kind of tells the story of the farm. It taps into the emotions, right?
Yeah.
And it speaks to your avatar, like exactly what they're wanting to hear about you. And that is an engagement strategy, to build a video and put it at the very top of my website, because I know that people need to watch the video. That is the engagement behavior in this step that moves them a little bit closer to wanting to get on your email list or wanting to buy from you. Anything else come to mind for engage?
So then I also have, is this still the lead magnet, or is that the
No,
subscribe?
we're about to go to the subscribe, which is the lead magnet. Are you ready to go there?
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's do it. So how are you getting them onto your contact list? How are you getting that next step from them?
So then on the website, I have three, I guess, main areas. One, they can just say subscribing to your newsletter and just sign up directly. Or I have 2 places that's essential kitchen tools that they can get, like a PDF guide that I created. So they give me their email in exchange for that guide. So they say, yes, I want to get the guide, and then they get it sent to their email. And so then I have their email address. And then the other way is a quiz that the person who helped me set up the website set up for me. It's on a form called Tally. I think you can also figure out how to do it yourself too. But so yeah, is CSA
Tally,
right
sorry,
for me?
So Tally is
Tally is
the
a
app?
web.
Like, is it an
it's
app?
like an app
or-
website.
Okay,
Yeah, that you can
gotcha.
set up your own quizzes.
Gotcha.
And so then it's an actual quiz, and it takes them through one by one, and it asks questions like, what are your food values? And so it might be, the best quality food is what I'm always after, or it's important to me, but cost is also important. And then the third one is like, the cheapest food is always the most important to me. And so it's a little bit, I don't know that people would necessarily.
Polarizing?
Yeah, I tried to make it not polarizing,
No, I'm
actually. I
kidding.
tried to make those
You have the opposites, yeah.
third answers, not, just be actually like, sometimes people do value cost over quality because that's important. Like that's not a value judgment either way. Or like, I'm really busy and no, I never have time to cook. I only have time to cook once or twice a week. You're probably not going to be a good fit for a CSA product. And so I try to ask those questions, and then they get their results in their email. And I've actually thought about maybe trying to do this differently so they can see there are actually different results. And so the top result, if they answer all of the like, I'm a foodie, I'm always there, I cook all the time, then they're going to be recommended to get the like a weekly smaller regular share. If they're like, I like to cook, but I want to learn more, I do travel occasionally, then their answer that they get is in their email is you might try a small share or a regular every other week share. And then the third share, if they're like, traveling a lot, they don't like to cook, all of those things, then their answer would be try us at the farmer's market first to see if to start to learn how to use some local food.
Yeah.
And
So
I talk about eating seasonally because that's, I talk about the different aspects of CSA. So then they're getting introduced to the concepts of cooking is a big part of being a part of a CSA, and
It allows them to self-qualify,
Yeah.
really, too, yeah. So are they seeing the questions after they subscribe, or do you make them subscribe to get the results?
I make them subscribe to see the results. So they go
Okay.
through and answer the questions, and then they, at the end of the form, then they get their results in their email.
And so the email is telling them the summary, here's what I recommend for you.
Yeah.
And it kind of gives them the next step.
Yep.
And you then probably tag them in your email provider as like, well, this is somebody who came through this form. So you know that they're maybe
Yeah, I should
interested.
be doing that.
Well, I mean, you would at least know that
Yeah.
they came through this form, so I have a way to know that they're interested in this product, potentially.
Yep.
That is a really, advanced, that's awesome. That lead magnet is so good, and it took probably a little bit of time to put that together, but I wanted you to spend some time on that because it's very innovative. But a lot of people just put up a little thing on their website that says, subscribe to my newsletter, just having something like that. All right, let's move into the convert phase. How do you get them to actually buy?
So if we're focusing specifically on CSA, I think some people who come to the market are going to be buying just a few things here and there before they might buy a CSA. But I've actually been really thinking about that gateway product, and I'm not sure that I really have that totally figured out. So that's one of my takeaways is like, what's something smaller that I can get somebody to buy before the CSA. But I think that having the small share every other week is a really good option for people. If the regular every week seems too much, then that's a smaller option that can get somebody to start engaging.
Are you able to do
Also-
like a trial with Harvey where they try it?
Yes, so
Okay.
also, we don't use this all the time, but with the Harvey system, if we have extra product, we can say, we're opening this up to one-time boxes, and so then people will get an email to say, hey, you can do a one-time box, and then they can just buy an actual box just once, and then they're in the system. So those two email systems are different, and so I haven't really figured out how to connect
Yeah.
them yet. So that's another to-do item.
Yeah.
But-
Do you find that most of your customers start out with the CSA? The people who become CSA members, do they start out with the CSA, or are they actually buying from your store first?
I don't know. I
Okay.
think it's both. I think some
Okay.
people start at the store first,
Yeah.
and other people start out just they're looking for a CSA,
Right.
and know that they want to do that, and then go through the steps, and for whatever reason.
So how are you pitching the offer? Like, I want you to join my CSA. Is it through an email, or do you have certain times of the year that you do that?
At certain times of the year, I haven't quite figured out how to make it a regular thing. Partly because we've sold out the past couple years, and so I don't want something regular going out that's like, join my CSA. Then, oops, just
You
kidding. I
can't.
don't have any
Yeah.
spots. So a part of that is, the whole COVID thing was anyway.
All right, let's move on to Excite then.
Okay.
Did I skip over? We're running short on time, so
okay.
I want to keep us moving. Okay, so the Excite phase, what does that look like for you? Because I know in a CSA there's a lot to make sure that they know, like even know how to learn how to use the software Harvey the right way, and like how are you onboarding them? What does that look like?
I feel like this is always for a CSA, a place where we can get better. But so they get a good confirmation email is one thing, and that's like a really simple thing. I would like to add a few more emails after the first email that they get to just build that relationship even more. But so they get a confirmation email where I talk about the family and how, just that they're part of our farm family at this point. Harvey sends a few emails to teach them how to use the software.
Oh, okay, cool.
And then when we're starting the CSA, so whenever they sign up, when we're starting, then I give some tools like storage tips, and throughout the season I'm giving recipes and suggestions of how to do it. And so that's in the weekly newsletter, and then also some other ways
Good.
Through that, yeah. But so can I also pause here to say it is a value as a CSA farmer, and also what people are looking for is that connection and relationship with the farmer. And so one of the reasons that I like this framework is because it's almost like CSA is suited to this, because it is about the relationship, and I do want to connect with people and have that reciprocal relationship. And so I feel like it's these are systems that you can put in place, but also just to that the value of the connection is so important. And so in my emails, I want to share what's happening on the farm because I know that's important. And so yes, it fits into this framework, and this framework is helpful to understand what's actually happening, but also we're already doing this because that's what's important to us, and that's what's important to...
And we want our customers to be successful with the product, right? So we're going to look for ways, if we can do a little bit extra to help them have a win that night with my kohlrabi, I'm going to try. Yeah, thank you for saying that. Okay, so the Ascend phase, how are you getting them to buy more stuff from you after they've bought the CSA?
So I think a couple ways. One, if they sign up for this small every other week, then maybe at some point they might go to a bigger share. Also, if they learn about the veggie CSA and then they're signing up, they're like, oh look, they also have a meat share. Or maybe they don't do that the first year, but maybe the next year they say, I think I'm going to try a meat share this time. Also in the Harvey system, it makes it really easy. They can swap out. It's customizable, so they can swap out if they want to swap out all of their kale for strawberries. They can do that as long as there's enough strawberries in the system. And then they can also add on, so they don't have to swap out. They can just say, I want to order 3 extra strawberries this week. We also have a few extra products that aren't in the main share. So we had a relationship with mushroom growers, so they could add on mushrooms. We've done teas and hot sauce and a few other things.
What I like about the Harvey system is that the habit of having to go and choose your box every week makes you show up in the store to see what else is there, and then you can often it's easy to just add on things and buy more things. So you're encouraging that behavior and that habit to form. So real quick testimonial. The advocate phase, what does that look like for you? Do you have anything in place yet?
Okay, so this was my aha moment. I went to her workshop, and that thing about the brain changing, I realized I didn't realize I was doing this, but what I was doing is in my emails, I actually really do want to hear from people, what are how are you using your share? Tell me a story. Here's a story about what's happening on the farm, and how does this relate to your life? And tell me about your experience. And so I asked them to email me back, share what you're doing, because I just want to hear it. But I think when people do reply, then that's
the moment.
Triggering that psychological thing or whatever. And so that's what what I was saying. You're probably already doing a lot of these things already.
Thank you.
And then also I have been trying to ask more consistently for the reviews. So in my end of year survey this year, I had people write out the survey, and then at the end it was if you had a good experience, please fill out a Google review. So I think I got 20 from that just this past year, so that was good. And I'd like to think about maybe one other time during the season to ask them to write the reviews. And then the promote, again, when I was thinking about like preparing for this, I was like, I don't really understand the difference between advocate and promote, and I know people go and talk about us, and I don't really know like what mechanisms are in place to make them do that, but I know they're doing it. But I think people do, when I say like, okay, it's an open sign-up period now, our people that have been with us for a long time then do tell their friends. They're like, hey, my CSA's open, you should have a spot.
Yeah.
Harvey does have a like refer a friend system where they each get a discount if they sign up. I use that sometimes. I actually don't love it because I just don't love
really
the
have
like
to do that anymore.
systematized part of it. Like I just like the more natural part of it. But.
Yeah. Well, thanks. Melissa, why don't you hop back up here? We have a few more minutes to take some questions. Does anyone have questions? Because about this process that you want to ask any of my farmers? Yes. Do we need to use a mic? Can you yell really loud or?
Yeah, I was just curious on the mechanism that you're using for your weekly newsletters. Is it like MailChimp or what other system are you using?
I use ConvertKit, and that allows me to, honestly, I don't have like the full capability set up yet, but like it allows me to have it if somebody signs up on one of those forms, then I can have a series of emails set up where they get like an email that day, and then they get an email that I've pre-written in another 2 days, and then another email in another 3 days. And so that is, that means that I don't have to then be thinking about when do I need to email this person. So yeah, that's set up. And then it also allows me to send like, so throughout the season, I send a very similar email to my broad list and to my CSA list, but I make the CSA email more robust with like more recipes and more stories, and so I'm able to like have basic content, but then like through the tagging system, able to send like this version to my main list,
yeah, it's called
and this
segmenting.
version to my other list.
We started with the free version of MailChimp, and I feel like that's a good place to start if you're not sending emails and just want to get started. And then we've switched actually to Flowdesk. It's another,
that's another good one.
paid. We just found that the free versions of the email systems do not offer all of those automations, and those are so important. They're becoming increasingly important in our business, and so we've switched to Flowdesk. Which I think would probably be similar to ConvertKit.
What do you pay for Flowdesk? Do you know off the top of your head? It's not
Like $15 a month.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
It's not that bad.
And I used the free MailChimp for a very long
Yeah, that's how
Yeah,
most
we do
farmers
too. Yeah.
begin.
It's a good place to start.
It is a good place to start. And that amount per month is based on the number of subscribers. So as your email list grows, it will become more pricey.
Our Flowdesk does not. It is
it
a
doesn't?
flat fee,
Okay,
and that's
so
one reason we chose them.
Okay. That is a good reason to choose Flowdesk. We'll pitch for Flowdesk. Any other questions? Yeah.
So we're in a position where, there's two of us, my husband and I, and we have roles, and he primarily does the production side, and I primarily do the marketing side. There's overlap there, especially me. I work in the production side a lot with the cattle. It's the nature of his job because we're not full-time farming, but I mean, I would guess at least 20 hours a week on marketing, maybe more in the busy seasons. I treat it as a full-time job. That you can put as much into it as you want, or as little.
Yeah. And you're working on setting up automations too,
I am,
right? So that
to
some of
help
that
with
can get
some
off.
of that.
Yeah.
We also don't have any employees. It is me. It's myself and my husband. I have a part-time farmers market employee, but that's it.
Yeah. Ray, do you have an answer to that?
You said 20 hours, like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. That's a lot for you. Yeah.
We do have a similar division of labor. I also have another part-time off-farm job, and I have a lot of responsibilities with my kids. So so it varies by the week, but I guess more in the CSA season because I'm more regular about the weekly emails. In the winter, I'm more once a month, every third week. But maybe 6 to 12 hours a week. But also some of that is there's pieces of this, like, okay, so I want to develop the email series, and actually I've gotten stuck on that for like 3 years. I just haven't been able to like get my mind around it. So I've like come back to it a few times, and I might work on it for like a couple hours, but then like not get back to it for another few weeks. So it depends.
20 hours a week is a little misleading too. I am lumping some things in there that you may not be considering like specifically marketing. So it's probably a little less than that. And I'm spending a lot of time right now because we're trying to set up some of these systems, and it does take a lot of time on the front end.
Yeah.
But it will save you time later.
Right. So building the lead magnet, for instance, you might spend 5-6 hours doing that, but then it's done forever, and you don't have to touch it again, and it just brings in leads automatically if you use a lead magnet. So I would say like the repetitive tasks that I'm doing are like I'm writing a weekly email, so that's like an hour at the most, and I'm doing social media to hit the brand awareness stuff, but not a ton. I might do that every day, but not necessarily. And then I'm loading my store, like I'm doing stuff like that too. But I mean, those are the two big, I'm trying to think, those are the two big repetitive tasks. And then it's other things that might require a little more concentrated attention a few times a year when I'm building a promotion, for instance, for CSA renewals. So for me, it's at the point now where it's about 3 hours a week.
Good.
Yeah. So.
I'm not there.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Sorry, I was just saying to my husband, I think because we're living this life, that it's hard for me to think about what I would want to say to somebody to say, hey, look at what we're doing. This is so much cool. It's like, no, this is work.
Yeah.
For me to get that concept, I've got to work on that to say, in social media, everybody presents their best life,
Mm-hmm.
which can be very misleading.
Yeah.
And so it's hard for me to sit down and think about how can I make somebody interested in what we're doing day to day, that they're going to go, oh, yeah, I want to be part of that.
Right.
So yeah, I was told one time, and it was good advice on social media in terms of farming, share the good and the bad, but not necessarily the ugly. And so I tried to give a very realistic picture of what farm life looks like. Things die on the farm. Some days are really hard, but some days are really good. And so I think if you can share figure out that broad spectrum of sharing all those things, it's a very different life than what your customer is living. They're gonna find that interesting, even if it's just mundane for you. But I'm careful not to show things that are too gory or gruesome that people, I think it's important for people to realize that stuff exists, but they may not want to see it every day.
Yeah.
I feel like one of the things that is partly my nature and partly listening to Corinna is like trying to figure out what the connection point is. And maybe this is also like, I have a background as a spiritual director, so I like try to think about like an inspirational thing. So like how my story, like what can I glean from the story? So we had hail damage really badly, and so that's really important for my members to know about. And I was feeling awful about it. Like we didn't know if the plants were gonna survive. But so I told the story, I told the pictures, and then I tried to figure out what's the message or what's the learning, and how does that connect? Like, okay, so we planted extra, so probably we're going to be, so this is a setback, but we're going to be okay. And and it's an example. I forget how I did it. It's an example of like we're here together as a community or something. And so like something that's like that we're all human, so like we have like figuring out what the human it doesn't have to be inspirational, but like overcoming a challenge, and that's helpful for me to think about.
If I can say one more thing about social media too, just sometimes I tend to overthink things because I want every post to be this big thing or every email, and you do want to be putting out quality content, but sometimes just a quick picture of something that really cool that happened that day, and it doesn't have to be a long caption or anything, just getting something out there that that somebody might connect with. you don't have to overthink it too much, because I tend to overthink things.
Yeah, and to remember that the goal of social media is to get people onto your contact list. So as you're creating social media content, I mean, you're not putting that link, get on my list every single post, but you're trying to put stuff out there that's attracting your ideal client. And then from time to time in your rotation, at least once a week, you should have a pitch to get onto your email list in social media, because that is, you need to move them into that next blocks. If social media were to disappear or they close your account, you've lost all those customer connections. And so you want to get them, you want to get that asset, that contact information needs to be in your possession. So do you have, guys, any, like, what has been, like, this is my last question before we close. What has been gaining traction for you? Like, what is the thing that you feel like is really driving the sales and the connection and the trust and the relationship? Is there one thing that you want to leave them with, like, hey, you got to focus on this or learn this skill?
Emails. I hate writing them. I'm just going to be honest.
Yeah.
But they're so effective, and I'm trying to learn to love them. But they're highly effective. If you're not writing emails, you need to be.
I was going to say emails too. I actually love writing emails, but I do not like social media. I'm like, I need to get better at social media. But I like it because of the connection, and again, because that's my value is to make that connection, and so that's that opportunity to tell the story and connect with the people who are part of our farm family.
Guys, thank you so much for sharing your stories and helping us kind of see how this can all work in the real world. So if you guys have any more questions, you can come find us afterwards. Thanks for being here today. Really appreciate it.